Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. You know, when Prabhupada wrote letters to various devotees as he was traveling the world, and he kept constantly in touch, because even as he moved from one place to the next, he was vitally interested in keeping the last places he went going. And when I say going, in one paragraph where Prabhupada was speaking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sending out his devotees and he was saying, go, 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 go. It was funny too because I used to sign my letters back in the old days with 3 goes, go, go, go. At the end, and people thought I was a little over-enthusiastic, which I am. But then I found this quote which vindicated my my approach with 4 goes. And so this was the mood. How does the Sankirtan movement, what is a movement? It means you got to move. What is the move behind the movement? The movement is, there's an impetus for the mission. And without a mission, we really have something that's stagnant with no oxygen. And also, we're oxygen deprived. So the oxygen is taking the risk to go out into the great unknown of the world and meet people that weren't expecting to meet us. Actually, they are. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes arrangements for this. And Prabhupada spoke about it before he came to America. He was in his room in Vrindavan, and he wrote several bhajans. He was writing all the time. So you'll find the Bhagavatam that he wrote. Also, he did the Light of the Bhagavad and other books. He wrote poems, and one of the poems, he muses that people in the West, they're sitting in their homes, not just in the West, but everywhere. He's talking about the material world, it's stagnant. And they're wondering, when are Chaitanya and Nitai going to come and save me? So if you're ever going door to door or anywhere else, and you're wondering what people are doing in there, they're wondering when you're going to come and save them by bringing them something interesting rather than the same old recycled stuff that everyone gets all over the world. It's not of any value. So my point was that Prabhupada would sign his letters, Camp London, Camp Paris, Camp San Francisco. That's military language. And the shloka that Sriman Kushakrata Prabhu, my exalted godbrother, who simply learned Sanskrit by himself and then sat around and wrote thousands of shlokas every day, passed away recently kind of nonchalantly in Vrindavan, wrote, seeing the fierce army of illusions put forward by the forces of Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada has released an unlimited shower of powerful arrows in the form of his books. Now, Prabhupada said something like this in one of his letters, that the temples in the Krishna conscious movement are actually bases from which we go out to fight Maya. And then he said, fight Maya means to drop hundreds of thousands of transcendental books into the laps of the conditioned souls. Now that sounds more like fun than sitting around doing nothing, doesn't it? Or just, worrying about how advanced I'm going to become. I mean, actually, when there's an idea that we're doing some damage to the material world, I get excited. Because I never quite liked it. I quit high school to join the Hare Krishna movement because I didn't see any point in it. I thought, this is a scam. And then I read in Prabhupada's books where he said this whole thing's a colossal hoax. And I said, now this is my kind of movement. But you can actually do something about it. And people are worried about how to help the environment. People are worried about how to adjust the political situation, social ethics, and on and on. And it's all there in the watering the roots of by performing the process of devotional service. And the heart and soul of that really is in the mood of the Goswamis, which was to prepare oneself and then to go out and help other people. And if you add a little militaristic spirit to it, that means organization and a feeling that we've got a war to win, then it becomes quite compelling. So, our legacy. Who are we and what are we doing? The word sampradaya. Everyone say sampradaya. Sampradaya. It literally means the complete gift. It means a bequeathment, which means that you're being given something and you're giving something. To bequeath means to pass on something valuable to somebody else. And Krishna is the gift giver. He passes it on to his representatives. And if you get in line with those representatives and you get some service in this line coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you engage yourself in giving the gift of transcendental knowledge to others, it's the best work you can get in this world. There is nothing more fulfilling. And as I mentioned earlier, that act in of itself connects you to Krishna because it's his divine system. So we are gift givers. That's what we do. Internally, dadati prataganati guyam akyati prichyati punkte bojayate chaiva shadvidam pratilakshanam. We went home last night with more prasadam than an army could eat because different people cooked things for us and gave us things as we were walking out the door. And I went to sleep last night. Of course, I didn't eat it all. I tried a little of everything, but I was overwhelmed with the love that was expressed through giving devotees giving us prasadam. And also, this Sankirtan movement is what Prabhupada says is a gift-giving movement. He writes in that verse, Dadati Prajaganati, that the whole Sankirtan movement is based on giving gifts to others. Preaching means giving. What does preaching mean? Giving. Correct. So it's good work if you can get it. To base your life on doing good for others by giving them the best possible gift that you can give. Our hero, Sri Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. He knows the plight of us, living entities in the material world. In fact, you'll notice in the prayers of personified Vedas, they mention that the greatest pastime of the Lord is saving living entities from the material world. That's the greatest pastime of the Lord. It's so exciting. Living entities drowning in the material world. It's not so easy thing, but he saves them. So, Sri Advaita Acharya, imagine he's consumed his heart and mind with how to save living entities from the material world. And when he looks around at the environment of the world, this was 500 years ago, he's thinking there's no hope for people unless Krishna appears himself and helps them. They're lost. And he couldn't tolerate it. So he read in the Shastra that if you offer tulsi leaves and Ganges water, you endear yourself to the Lord so much so that he sells himself to a devotee who offers. So here he is offering tulsi leaves and Ganges water and asking the Lord, please come and help. So this is how you do Sankirtan. Some of you came here to learn about book distribution Sankirtan. If that's true, please say yes. Yes. Then here's how you do it. Hare Krishna. You have to pray like Advaita Acharya. And that means from your heart, just ask Krishna, please help me. Show me how to do this. And when you do that, Krishna will empower you. He'll give you the intelligence. So when Advaita Acharya prayed for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared. And here he is appearing in Navadvip. And then he started his movement. So there's two parts to the Hare Krishna movement. That makes it simple, because you can pass it on anywhere. The first part is chant Hare Krishna. The second part is teach others. Now I'm going to give you a quiz. The first part of the Hare Krishna movement is? Chant Hare Krishna. I didn't hear. It's hard for me over here because I'm on the other side. First part of the Hare Krishna movement is? Chant Hare Krishna. The second part is? Teach others. Part 1? Chant Hare Krishna. Part 2? Teach others. Part 1? Chant Hare Krishna. Part 2? Teach others. Part 2? Teach others. Part 2? Teach others. Part 2? Teach others. Part 1? Chant Hare Krishna. Part 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I wake you up at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, what's the Hare Krishna movement? You'll say? Yeah, the 2 parts. There's 2 parts. So it's easy. Anybody can do this because it's only 2 simple parts. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda said that it is said that they opened the marketplace for the holy name. So marketing is something specific. It means quantitative and qualitative reasoning skills. You really have to think about branding when you market a product. You have to think about market share when you're marketing a product. There's a lot to take into consider. It's an all-consuming science, marketing. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was interested in that science, and he wanted to see, as his mission statement, that the Krishna conscious movement be spread all over the world. Now here you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing down the street of Miami, Florida. And this may have seemed implausible 100 years ago, but nowadays it's a reality. So what everyone thought in India, even the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said all over the world, every town and village, they thought, well, maybe he meant, just in India? How would it be possible in London and Bahrain and all over the world? Until through complete faith in the order and the power that's behind the order, Srila Prabhupada brought it over. And he did it by fully depending on the power of the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement became hidden. Now this brings up an important point, and there are obstacles to the Krishna consciousness movement and to our own practice. These are listed and enumerated upon throughout our Shastras, different ways in which we can be blocked in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And the Krishna consciousness movement can be overcome by the material energy. In fact, Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's quite natural, because of the enervating effect of the material energy, that the message of the parampara naturally gets distorted over time, so it has to be renewed. That's why we do sadhana every day. You don't do it every other day, right? Please say right. Yeah. Like Joshua Hevitz, the famous violinist, said, if I don't practice one day, I notice it. If I don't practice 2 days, my teacher notices it. And if I don't practice 3 days, everybody notices it. So you have to practice every day, and keeping the parampara alive and the siddhanta vital and the understanding of it vital requires a lot of work. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement became hidden for the reasons I just mentioned, until in 1891 Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur revived it. Now the great souls, these are representatives, they become self-effulgent. The acharyas manifest certain bhakti potencies that nobody else can imitate. We can follow in the footsteps, but we can't imitate. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is one of those acharyas. Every song that he wrote was a hit. Every song. Every song takes you to the spiritual world directly. And he wrote thousands of songs. He wrote hundreds of books. Who can do that? Meanwhile, he was a high court justice, and he was much sought after by the British government in India. And he was the powerhouse through which the bhakti movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was again revived. It was brought back from obscurity. It's not that it had disappeared completely, because there were great souls behind the scenes who were carrying the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The missionary part had been lost. So at Surabhi Kunj, you can go there every year we go there for our yatra, and it's the most ecstatic place. It's surcharged with spiritual energy. You can go there and renew your bhakti practice and renew your vows for spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And there he declared again the marketplace of the holy name reopened. What a day for the world. Then he had made prayers that a ray of Vishnu, meaning an empowered person, would appear in his family to help him spread. That was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And also he predicted a personality will appear who will help spread this all over the world. Now, as fantastical as it seems, he actually did predict that. And as fantastical as it seems, every time we hear the story, Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who within the Gaudiya Math was rather obscure because he wasn't a sannyasi, he was a grahasta. He could barely afford a day and a half to come and join his Guru Maharaj's yatra. And after he emerged as the world acharya, a lot of people in Gaudiya Math couldn't believe it. They were like, what, him? What, wait? So when the acharya emerges, it's by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we're able to do anything to help the Sankirtan movement, it comes by mercy. We have to beg for some kind of empowerment to help spread the Krishna consciousness movement. And this is the purpose of life. So there were great souls. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. You can go in and visit his samadhi and take the dust from there and pray to chant the pure name. And such great souls are in our legacy, carrying forth the actual vibration from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's never lost, it just becomes obscured. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was that ray of Vishnu, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed for, he brought the Sankirtan movement all over the world, at least past India. All over India, Gaudiya Math was thriving. He brought it to Burma, he brought it to England. And then, in a fortuitous meeting with Abhay Charanaravinda, his disciple, later to become the great world acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, when our Srila Prabhupada asked him at Radhakund, what should I do? How can I serve your mission? Because he was feeling somewhat outside the mission. His Guru Maharaj said, if you ever get money, print books. And Srila Prabhupada said, I took this up from his mouth that he was very fond of books. He maintained that mood throughout his time with us, all the way to 1977. His instructions and his mood were all pointed towards giving mercy to others. And the book distribution became foundational for this movement. Are we already out of time?
We have till 12:30 minutes, 1 hour more.
I can keep going?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you think of this picture when you look at it? What is it? That's a good exclamation, but be descriptive. What does it look like to you? I have a specific thing in mind when I saw this, but someone say.
Ordering.
What?
Ordering.
Ordering, yes. Read this book. Yes, Prabhu? Tishiksha's throwing the book. I saw it as sort of, I could see him standing at the head of a ship, leading into battle, kind of with the book. It's like coming in, it's like, here it comes. And then that was Prabhupada's mood when he was on the Jaladuta. You read his poetry. And the main means of conquest, tato jaya mudire, we say it all the time. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jaya mudire. Our main means of conquest is this Bhagavatam. And that's what Prabhupada wrote about when he was on the ship. He said, we're bringing the Bhagavatam to destroy Maya, to reawaken people to their original understanding of their relationship with Krishna. So I just see this as it's leading us into battle. And how? With the book. That's appropriate. And it's parallel with the first slide I showed, isn't it? Say yes.
Holding a flag.
Yeah. It's holding the flag. That's the book. And that's what he came with. I'll tell you a secret, and that is that Prabhupada wasn't, the books that he brought on the Jaladuta were not the first of his books to come to America. Did you know that? Well, this is how it happened. In New Delhi, Prabhupada was going around himself, by himself, distributing his books. And he went to the Library of Congress, which is a huge organization. It's based in Washington, D.C. And there he sold 16 sets of his first canto in 3 volumes to the Library of Congress. They then dispatched them to various places around the world. One of those places was in New York, at the New York Public Library. Those books arrived 1 year before Prabhupada stepped foot on the American shore. Brahmananda personally told me this because I was interviewing him for my book. And he told me that when he got there, Prabhupada was there, his books were there, and Prabhupada, he said, he would take 3 bus transfers to go uptown to the New York Public Library, go in and see his book there on the shelf. Brahmananda's comment, that was Prabhupada's entertainment. So this is appropriate. The books are there as the flag, as Vishwambar Prabhu said. The books are there as the weapon. They're Shastra and they're Shastra. This Shastra means really the means by which we cut through the labyrinthine knots of the material energies. It's the only way, actually, that we can break through by the power of the sound vibration that comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's what Prabhupada brought with him. He didn't come unarmed. He brought cases of Srimad Bhagavatams with him, and he stored them in New York until he was organized enough to start distributing them, to start his own publishing company. And by the way, the first money that he ever got, pursuant with the order of his Guru Maharaj, which was what? I just showed it 2 slides ago. If you ever get money, buy a boat. If you ever get money, build houses. If you ever get money, I'm not convinced. If you ever get money, yes. Don't be shy now. So when Prabhupada came to America, he had some disciples following him. He told them to get some money. And what was the money for? He wanted exactly. He wanted a house. And what was he going to put in the house? A printing press. Printing press. He bought a printing press. He sent devotees out in New York City to apprentice, to learn how to print books. And now, when he bought the house, with all the money that there was in ISKCON at the time, and that's not very much, they were able to move the printing press in, reinforce the floor, and they started printing books. That was the first act that he did when he came and got money in America. And recently, when I was in Bagh Bazar with our yatra in Calcutta, I asked the Mat Basis to show me the printing press that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had used to print all his books and pamphlets and spread them all over India. Hare Krishna. Hey, Nitai Kripa. Haribol. Good to see you. I'll save all the details because it's a long story, but I went up and saw that printing press. My hair stood on end. I offered obeisances to the printing press. I walked around the backside of the printing press. It was made in Cleveland, Ohio. It's a beautiful printing press. It's in a museum there that's opening this year. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had gone to the ends of the earth to bring that, not the ends of the earth, but it's Cleveland, Ohio, which is pretty close. Bring all the way, no offense to anybody from Ohio, all the way to that bazaar, and he worshipped that printing press as the Brihat Madanga. He also included an image of it on the logo for the Gaudiya Math. And above it, he put Rag Marg. People talk about attaining higher levels of devotion. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the mood of Bhaktivinoda Thakur was, dive into the ocean of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, and you will come out on the shores of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Not only that, you'll awaken your desire to hear and chant. Shushu Shro Shodadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevayabhipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. When you serve the great souls, substantial service means preaching, especially distributing literature according to our founder Acharya. Then you'll develop a natural taste to hear and chant about Krishna. This is spiritual health. Here's Prabhupada's first pamphlet to distribute the Bhagavatam. I want you to note that at this time he only had the Delhi Bhagavatam in 3 volumes. That's first canto only. Do you have that in mind? Say yes. Yes. Here's what he says on the pamphlet. 60 volumes of elaborate English version. He has 3. He's thinking 60. He's got no money, no followers, no connections, nothing. Someone stole his typewriter. And he says all over the world for scientific knowledge of God. All over the world. When they first heard, did the devotees who had joined him, the fledgling crew in New York City, that he wanted to start an international society for Krishna consciousness, they were like, where is it? There's only 3 of us here. How is this going to happen? The answer to this is, if you take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, he's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita to be the greatest capitalist. He's a spiritual capitalist. And when you're starting an enterprise, you need capital. And when you get capitalized by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by following his order, If you're consistently eager and you go on praying for his help, he'll give you so much capital that you can spend 24 hours a day in hearing and chanting and spreading the Sankirtan movement all over the world, and it will manifest by his mercy. The plan, here's Prabhupada's plan. By printing books, we can actually inject our movement into the masses of people all over the world. Lord Chaitanya's plan, as Prabhupada writes in the Adi Leela, I want everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's thinking. This is how he thinks. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to deliver the fallen souls. So here's Srila Prabhupada's plan, and I put them side by side to show how they're parallel. I like this idea of distributing books and preaching. That is Lord Chaitanya's plan. So here's Lord Chaitanya's plan all over the world. Here's Prabhupada's interpretation of his plan. I like this distributing books. The plans are parallel. That's how it's done. Distributing books is also Sankirtan. Regarding Sankirtan and book distribution is also chanting. It is spoken kirtan. So Prabhupada then said, print as many books in as many languages and distribute throughout the whole world, just like in the communists. Prabhupada noticed how they were spreading their propaganda ideology. They were getting followers by massive distribution of literature. Unless we think that we're doing quite well with our distribution, we can look at the Jehovah's Witness, who are out distributing us. They're in 239 countries, 595 languages, 46 million copies a month. That's a few more copies than we're doing in the BTG and elsewhere. So let's pick up the pace. Here's the Gideons International. They're charting out the whole world. They know the power of distributing Bibles. They've known it ever since the first printing press was invented by a Christian just to print Bibles and spread them all over the world. The Protestant movement spread because of literature that went far and wide. And the Holy Bible, it's going out to 200 countries, more than 100 languages. By May of 2016, 91.8 million copies. By 2020, 120 million copies. We're talking annually. More than 2 copies of the Bible distributed per second. So we have something to look forward to. We can come to these levels through organization. And as I mentioned last night, this yatra, this whole country actually is poised for a huge expansion of transcendental book distribution and organization in spreading Harinam, bringing in new people, following up, and making sure that they have everything they need. That is, those who are sincere souls who want to take up Krishna consciousness, so that we can expand. We can expand tenfold through the process of Sankirtan and organizing Sankirtan. Now I'm going to take a brief second here to take some reflections from you all before I move on to the next part. So just reflect back anything that you've heard so far that you've felt to be useful, fulfilling, interesting, controversial. Go ahead. Yes, Prabhu. Dare I ask for a second mic to be used?
Statement which was written on Prabhupada's book, 60 volumes.
Yes, he's appreciating that 60 volumes, even though he only had 3 at that time.
That shows how visionary he was. He knew how many volumes were to come.
Yes, he was thinking, he already knew which volumes were to come. He had envisioned it, yes. A few more. Yes, Vishwambar Prabhu.
Yes, I was quite attracted by the beginning in regards, the secret tool that we should use, the prayer, the power of prayer. That is like, Advaita Acharya, even though he's Lord Vishnu himself, but his prayers, they were consistent and full of intensity.
Yes.
So but when we put the intensity in our prayers,
yes,
when the result comes, I've experienced.
Yeah, thank you.
But I was very happy to see that, because ultimately, the prayers is what
We can do that. This is something we can do. That's why I said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Sri Advaita Acharya is our hero. Now, if you want to restart the Hare Krishna movement, you happen to be in the middle of nowhere, follow in the footsteps of Advaita Acharya. Because what he did is you could reproduce. And he's showing the example. He's also showing how to be a Vaishnava. He's the greatest of Vaishnavas, even though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by the way, we encourage you to turn your cell phones on and keep the ringer up high, because from now on, if it goes off in the assembly, then you have to sponsor 5 your ever well-wishers for the marathon, which will cost $250.
250 per book, so
50,
1250 for 5 books.
$12.50. So get 12, turn your ringer on, text somebody, ask them to call you, and get your $12.50 ready. And who's the most scariest looking person in here who can collect it? Vishwambar, okay. He's Italian, he can do it. Okay. All right, so Advaita Acharya, what did he do? He prayed and he held an open class on Bhagavad Gita. This is the secret. There's 2 parts. Hold open class on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Invite people from your neighborhood, put it out there, social media, whatever it is. If you're doing it digitally, you can do it every 2 hours. And who's to stop you? You can dominate the airwaves by Facebook or whatever other medium you like. Or you can do it in your town, in your house, anywhere. Hold open class on Bhagavad Gita as it is. Who is eligible to give such classes? Any faithful person. It doesn't matter how much you know. The more you teach it, the more you'll know. All you have to know is this is the right book. If you know that much, you can do it. And chant Hare Krishna and pray like anything. Just keep praying. And you can restart the Hare Krishna movement from anywhere. Or expand it from any obscure place. It's based on the sincerity of purpose and the intensity of your desire. If you have that, you actually have happiness in life. There is no happiness without intensity for spiritual advancement. It's a boring and tangled mess is what it is. The human experience is really not that fun unless you add Sankirtan. Then you really got something. Okay, now, the direct order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of his internal potency. These are Prabhupada's words. He writes it in the 2nd canto. I think this is such a revelation that if you don't take anything away from this seminar today except for this, I'll be a happy person for the rest of my life. Here's what he says. The direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal potency, and this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Here is your ticket to the spiritual world. Find out what the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and attach yourself to it with one pointed attention. That means that you are connected directly with the internal energy of the Lord, and it doesn't matter who you are. You don't even have to be human. If you're smart enough as an animal to connect, then you'll also go back to Godhead. But the order is where the power is. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the open order. Srila Prabhupada also gave orders. Look at this one. So kindly help me. This is my request. He just asked for help. So there's an open order. If anybody takes this, said, I'll help. I'm not much use, but I'm going to help. I'm going to try. I don't know how to do this. I'm not very good at it, even on my best day, but I'm going to help. I'm just going to help because Prabhupada asked for help, so I'm going to do it. You're connected to the internal energy. You will go back home, back to Godhead by taking that order. Prabhupada said, I want that you, all my students, shall very vigorously try for this book distribution. It's a nice service to try vigorously for because there's a lot you can do. You can count how many books there were in your box when you left, and you can count how many there were when you came back. And it's easy to track. And it requires a little vigor. To actually walk out the door and meet people, that's probably one of the main definitions of vigor. Lord Krishna, there's no servant more dear to me than the one who spreads Krishna consciousness. And here's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's general open order to every single person. He said, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in the land. He said, everywhere you go, everyone you meet, try to give them Krishna consciousness. So if you just try to take the order, Prabhupada said this to Dayananda and Nandarani, you will get superior strength and knowledge about Krishna consciousness. If you just try to do this, you'll get superior strength and knowledge. Therefore, we say that book distribution is high sadhana. It's a rapid way to make spiritual advancement. It's not about how many units you distribute, although it's fun to count and have marathons. These are important part of organization. But the main point is it's high sadhana, and you'll make rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. A couple more reflections or questions before I go to the next section. Yes?
I like that you said that this Sankirtan we're gift giving.
Yes.
And that the word prachar, the word preacher comes from the word prachar, which means to spread the good news.
Yes.
Rather than to just, our understanding of preaching is like to kind of breathe down somebody's neck in a negative way.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. Prachar, preaching, to spread the good news, and also gift giving. That's what we do. That's what Sampradaya is. What other things? Reflect back, please.
By serving the spiritual master, we get a taste for hearing and chanting.
Yes, Shushu Shadadhanasya. By serving the great souls, by serving the spiritual master, one gets an affinity, an attachment for hearing and chanting. And that's the means by which one can tell the level of one's spiritual advancement. Jiva Goswami says a direct correlation to the degree that you're interested in hearing about Krishna, to that degree you're advanced in spiritual life. And this is one of the ways in which to develop that desire to hear and chant, is by serving. A few more. Yes?
By following Srila Prabhupada's order to distribute these books, we can go back to Godhead?
By following Srila Prabhupada's order to distribute these books, we can go back to Godhead. Yes, that's true. What else? Yes.
Reflects about the Jehovah's Witness and how organization they've been able to achieve so much. So
That's right.
we do similar.
Yeah, through organization, groups like Jehovah's Witness, Gideon's Bible, they've achieved much all over the world. Near cool that light came on. Others? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada's strong emphasis on faith in the distribution of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Prabhupada's strong emphasis on distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam. Good point.
Back to Godhead magazine.
Back to Godhead magazine, what?
That we are not distributing much nowadays.
Yeah, we're not distributing 232 million a month, are we? Or how many ever it was. Yes, 1, 2, 3.
Just, you said how open book classes on Bhagavad Gita. Just like in mundane situations, people have book groups. You
Yep.
don't even need to tell them, I'm a Hare Krishna. You just say, I've got a great book, let's just read it.
Yep, a whole open class. There's many innovative ways that you can do that.
Chant Hare Krishna and teach others.
2 parts of the Hare Krishna movement. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. 2. 2. 1. 1, 2. It's a simple movement. Okay, but there was who else had their hand up? Yes, Jadharani. Vaisesika, follow in his footsteps. He was praying hard. Pray hard. How should you pray? Pray hard. And hold open class on Bhagavad Gita. Even if it's just for your family, if you hold open class and pray, you will become empowered. The movement will start collecting around your house like a little nucleus. It comes from that intensity of your desire, and a prayer is just expressing that intensity in words to the world. Am I okay on time, or am I lagging now? I'm still okay.
You've got 20 minutes for us.
That's remarkable. I still have 20 minutes. Okay.
I'm seeing the meanings of Sad Goswami Ashtam.
Shad Goswami asked him, seeing the meanings.
Yeah, I'm singing every day.
Yeah, sing it every day. And by the way, It's like the frog. It's an experiment. You put a frog in a hot pan of water, he'll jump right out. But if you put him in and in a lukewarm and you gradually turn up the heat, then he cooks in there. So one of the secrets, he doesn't know the difference because it's incremental. So the same thing in our practice of devotional service, like you keep turning up the heat a little bit at a time until next thing you know, you don't have time for anything else. And that's how you get out of the material world. You got to sneak up on it. Okay. Here's the 4 laws of book distribution. You follow these laws and you will be so successful, your head will spin. I guarantee you. Uh-oh. It's on my screen, but not here, so I guess it's okay to proceed. Here are the 4 laws. Please say them together. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. That is correct. Number 1 is your sadhana must be strong. So our sadhana, this is life. Without sadhana, the human experience is no fun. Because human life is meant for sadhana. And if you get yourself together on your sadhana, then you can enjoy life. Otherwise, you'll just be in anxiety all the time. And you'll always have complaints about everything and everyone. So that's your choices. So get your sadhana together, really together. So how together should it be? It should be strict, serious, and sincere. And because of lack of time, I'm not going to go into the definitions, but they're in my book. We talk about what it means to be strict, serious, and sincere. And could you take this little thing off of my screen? There's some warning or something that came up. Maybe it's a free offer for your ever well-wisher. And get a taste. It's your responsibility to get a taste. Because there's niyamagraha. If you're doing devotional service, but you're not trying for a taste, you're just doing it to get it done, that's not allowed. It's illegal. You have to lean in so hard, you almost break something. Lean into your japa so hard that you smash something somewhere, break something. I mean, really get into it. And when you read, read a lot and organize your sadhana so that you can, pray hard to open up your heart and get a taste from Krishna. And if you can get one tiny molecule of taste, one molecule, this is the most valuable thing in the whole universe. Everything else is useless except for this taste. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in the song, Doyal Nite Chaitanya Boli. He says your life is miche without this taste. So try to get it. At least try. And plan on it, trying to get the taste. And if you get one molecule of taste from chanting and hearing, then you can inundate all of London. No? Actually, all of the UK. No, it'll go beyond there. It'll go throughout all of Europe, it will flood from one molecule of taste that one person has. Actually, it'll continue, it'll go across and flood the eastern seaboard of America and then all the way across into the western side and then through Asia, down through Australia, across the world and go into Africa. One molecule of taste, the whole world can be inundated. And this is what devotees do who are on a mission. They try to get that taste so they can distribute it to others. So distribute the overflow. One thing that you can do, believe it or not, Bhagavad Gita is the most nectarian book in the world. And if you take it seriously, which nobody does, I mean, everyone says, I know Bhagavad Gita, I have Bhagavad Gita, I have 500 Bhagavad Gitas in my garage. Read it every day. Go deeply within it. Read at least one chapter every day of Bhagavad Gita. And that puts you above 99.9% of the population. If you want an advantage in life, this is it. There is no better thing to do than chant at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. Who can stop you? They can put you in jail and you can still do it. So read the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada recommended it. He did it all the time. There's recordings of Prabhupada chanting chapters of Bhagavad Gita, reading the Bhagavad Gita. He advocated that we read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. We started an organization called CHAD. It's a secret organization. You can join it later if you tell me clandestinely. I'll give you a card where you can be a card-carrying member. And you can chant one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. Here's our app. You can get it for Android or iOS. It's called Be a Sage, Page by Page. I made it for myself on a little graph because I was looking at all of Prabhupada's books and I thinking, how am I ever going to complete all of them? And then I realized if I break it up into small parts and I live long enough, I can do anything. So we counted all the pages in all of Prabhupada's books and found out that there were a finite number, and that gave us some optimism. And then we said, how many pages do you have to read a day in order to complete, for instance, the Srimad Bhagavatam? And lo and behold, we had a number. Once you have a number, you can actually do it. So the magic number for once a year is 41 pages a day. And if someone says, I don't have time to put 41 pages, it'll only take you an average of 57 minutes a day. And you can find it in the gaps. Even if you don't have a lot of time now, you can complete it. But it can be done. Or you can just do 8 pages a day and finish in 5 years. If you want to scan that, you can. It'll take you right to the app. Okay, so the first law of book distribution is what? Okay, 3 people got it. Let's try again. The first law is... Now here's the second law. You must get books. Now we did a lot of research on this one, and we went to Ivy League schools, we went to scientific research institutes, and we found out through double-blind tests that you can't distribute books that you don't have. Therefore, we shortened it to this one. Say it. When you go in the military, they make you speak like, sir, yes, sir. So say, get books. You're all out of the military. Try it again one more time. 1, 2, 3. That's right. You want to get books. If you get books, anything can happen. This morning, I walked out the door. Nirkula said, why are you carrying that stack of books? I said, there's a marathon going on here. And at least I had potential. I walked out the door. I was looking around. We were in a hurry. But when you have books, anything can happen. And there's so many books to have. I mean, when you get books, then you're in the game. And it's a rare thing. Don't take it for granted, because just a few years ago, books were written on palm leaves. Somehow or other, we have facility now through high-speed electronic printing that we can get as many as we want. Plus, you've got them in Vietnamese, Japanese, Farsi, Arabic, Korean, and many other languages around the world, and they're beautiful. They're perfect translations, and so get these as your life and soul. You can also use language cards. They're on our website to distribute books to people who don't speak your language. It's as easy as falling off a log. And here we are at a Vietnamese Starbucks. Every one of them bought books, and they were happy that we had books in Vietnamese. And here's a Muslim mullah who took a book in Farsi. He wanted to know where all the other Farsi books are, and I would like to know also. And he took that back to Afghanistan. That's sitting somewhere in somebody's house in Afghanistan. One tiny book like that can bring down a whole country, a whole empire. These books are so powerful. So go out and give them to people. Find out where they are and make sure they get them. You get extra points, by the way, for many of these books. And from now on, any full set of Bhagavatams that you sell, you get double points. Yeah, Haribol, you can say Haribol. That's a big deal. So law number 3 is, please say it twice. That's because little jivas wandering around the universe looking for stuff. That's why they put the duty-free shop right in your face when you come off the plane. So you get and you see a lot of jivas walking through there. It goes, hey, don't we need some whiskey? It's like, no, jiva, you don't need whiskey. Don't drink things you can light on fire. But because they put up a sign, it says, jiva, get in here. Little jiva takes it. But if you show little jiva a Krishna book, he'll take it. Why? Because that's what jivas do. Because jivas are open to suggestion. Open to suggestion. That's what Tatastha Shakti means. So put them out any way you can. We put a little experiment. We put it on the street. One devotee sitting behind the table. What do you think happened? People come over all day long because they can see it. If you can see it, they'll come look at it and they'll take them. Go door to door. People are waiting inside their houses. When's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda going to come knock on my door? And anywhere you set up, you'll start a sensation. Look at the happiness there. There's events. There's the Pumpkin Festival. The devotees do huge there. We couldn't figure out why we did so huge until I saw this picture, and I noticed that the Bhagavad Gita is the same color as the pumpkin. You don't know till you try. And then all these festivals all over the world. Join them. There's our smart box. If you're the type who likes to distribute books while you're sleeping, this is for you. You could put these all over town, and people will buy the books, put the money in the box, and you just come by with your truck and load it up with cash and put the books back in the boxes. And Sanjay's your uncle. And here's Srivas Pandit behind a smart table. Here's Kids Sankirtan. Kids love Sankirtan. I took 5-year-olds out on Sankirtan a few years ago and found out that they're just as good as anybody on Sankirtan. And now those 5-year-olds are 16 and 17, and they're great leaders of the Sankirtan army. The youth are the future. Support the youth and get them involved in Sankirtan. Prabhupada wanted us to distribute sets of Bhagavatams, and he always said sell in bunches like bananas. Right now in New York City, there's a revolution of the Shaptarishis. They're tying 7 books together and distributing them to people. And they're going out like water. At the New York Rath Yatra, just from one table, we sold 63 Shaptarishis. That's 7 times 63, because they buy the whole stack, $59, $49. Srimad Bhagavatams, there's a set of Bhagavatams. They didn't want to let it, at first they were hesitant to let us in their house with the set of Bhagavatams, which was really smart of them. Because once they let us in, their main argument was we don't have any space. So I looked around and I said, what about that shelf over there? Do you need all this junk on here? You know, there's a hairbrush, an old game, all kinds of stuff. They said, no, we don't really need it. They cleaned off the shelf, washed it. We put the Bhagavatam set right up there. That's why the arrow's there. You know about Gomatsya. Last year, huge results from the Bhagavatam sets going out through Bhadra Purnima. Here's a Muslim who just bought a Chaitanya Charitamrita set from Shraddha Devi Dasi. Here's the complete set. That is, put everything in one bookshelf. We even provide the bookshelf. Every single thing you can think of, put it on there and then show it. And what do you think happens? Some people buy it because the third law of book distribution is, work with me, people. Thank you. So then there's Motel Gita. This number is low now. We've gone over the 700,000 mark of placing Bhagavad Gitas in motels and hospitals. So law number 4 of book distribution is? You must organize. Yeah, you can do it as a hobby and do a few books here and there. Don't take it very seriously, and it won't be a very serious operation. It'll be nice and interesting. But if you organize, you use all modern techniques for organizing, everything that you can find, all technology, treat it like Apple. It started in a little garage somewhere. Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs was barefoot going up and down the El Camino showing his little computer gadget to people who said, get out of here, kid, you bother me. But finally, it took off from that one dusty garage. It became the most successful and most capitalized business in the world. And anybody can do that too if they just organize. If you organize book distribution like you're doing here and you continue looking for the gaps and filling them in and making it better every month by at least filling 3 gaps, you will build an empire that will smash the whole world, smash Maya. So organize. Use everything that you can. Prabhupada made 7 purposes for ISKCON. That was a part of his organization. Put it on your calendar, the times that you're all going to go out together for book distribution. Make goals, because goals are extremely potent. And in North America, we were able to triple book distribution in the last 7 years by organizing and working together as a team. That was the first book room we had at ISV. And last year, that we started off with 3 devotees distributing books now. Now we have almost 200 devotees participating. In the last 2 years, that tiny little temple in ISKCON in Silicon Valley gave over $500,000 each year to the book trust through the process of organization. So the 4 laws of book distribution. Number 1, that is correct. That is true. Number 2, But that's when you say military. Number 2? Yes. No, you're kicked out of the military. Number 2? Yes. Number 3, you say twice. And number 4? Yeah, you have to organize. If you organize and just keep organizing by filling in at least 3 gaps every month, fix 3 things every month, at least that, then you'll start to build an empire-like organization that will take over the whole world. What's my time now, Divyanam?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Let's have some questions. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, the Shaptarishi sets. The way that you do it in the UK is find 7 books that you like to bunch together, and then you get nice looking ribbon, and it should be strong, and you go one way like this and the other way like that, strong enough so you can hold it. See, the trick is they have to see the books. It's very attractive. And then instead of just handing people 1 book, you hand them 7. You hand them the whole thing. And you can say a little something about each book. And you can ask people, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like to read? And they'll tell you and say, oh, that's great. Here, you take this and you tell, like the Science of Self-Realization, this is about this actual, it tells how happiness comes from within. This is the Bhagavad Gita. It's been read by Thoreau, Emerson, Gandhi, the Beatles. We'd like to see your name on the list too. You go on to the next one. Whatever books you have, you can say 1 sentence about each one and point to each one like this. It takes about 60 seconds to go through each 7 of the books and tell 1 sentence about each one. And in the end you say, so how much do you think this would be like in a Barnes & Noble? And they say like 100, 200, some people say $500, say, yeah, today for us it's only $49. Because each book's only 7, there's 7 books, 7 times 7, 49, there you go. You can take the whole thing with you today. And they just walk over the table, slide their credit card, and they take the books with them. That's how the Shaptarishis work. Now, if they don't take the whole thing, oftentimes they apologetically will take 1 or 2 books. It's like, I can't take the whole thing, so I'll take something else. So you can make a smaller set, or you can give them an individual book. But if you start with the Shaptarishi and then work down, then you'll see that many people will take them. Other questions? We have 4 minutes. Yes, Prabhu. What kind of goals do I recommend? So one goal is, there are qualitative goals and there are quantitative goals. And it's nice to mix them up. As Prabhupada said, you should always create a fresh challenge so everyone will want to rise up and meet it. So oftentimes for our Sankirtan marathons and monthly Sankirtan festivals, we set goals that are qualitative. And for instance, we encourage everybody on that day to study the verse, or on that week or month, whatever duration it is, to study the loving exchanges, as mentioned by Rupa Goswami, and to engage in them as much as possible in gift giving. We also make goals of how many devotees will go out, or we make goals of how many books we're going to distribute, or how much Lakshmi we're going to collect. And so we mix them up. We also make goals every year to read certain passages together. For instance, every year all the Sankirtan devotees at ISV read the whole Ramayana together. They do it at a marathon style. So on the phone, in the temple room, and it keeps going. They put devotees on a list and they keep reading it out loud so everyone can hear it until it's all the way finished. Or we read the whole 7th canto right before Lord Nrsingadev's appearance day in the same manner. So those are some of the ideas for goals. One last question probably we have time for. Please make it a winner. No pressure. Yes? Say about the what? How do we get better sadhana? Well, one thing is just to plan for it. Because when you actually think about it, sadhana, you have to sort of reinvent yourself at regular intervals. Because there's a tendency to get into a pattern or to develop bad habits. and just reinvent yourself. Take time at some interval, once a week or at least once a month, to say, how am I doing? How's my sadhana? How could I improve it? I also recommend going on some kind of retreats with advanced devotees sometime during the year. Because if you can get some intense association with those whose sadhana is really on a high level, you'll just naturally pick it up. There are many other ideas, but those are a couple that are definitely winners. So that's the first part of our presentation, which goes to why we're distributing books, what is our legacy, and so forth. And I thank you very much for your kind attention. And I pray for the success of this yatra, that it may overflood all of Europe and the rest of the world with the transcendental vibration coming from the spiritual world. Everyone who agrees with these ideas in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna! Sounds unanimous. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you for your patience. We have some cups here. There are 2 water fountains downstairs. So if you want to drink the water, please feel free to take a cup and drink the water. The next session is not very long. We have an interactive session now. But before that, I'd like to invite His Grace Titikshu Prabhu, who's our another hero from BBD, who works tirelessly behind the scenes, supplying us all the books and everything we need in order to actually deliver or to fulfill the second law of the book distribution, is to have the books. So we'd like to welcome Titikshu Prabhu with 3 loud rainbows, one present as our host from our BBD. He's also writing a very interesting article which may be published in near future. I'll let him share about that a little bit in his talk.
No, I'm all right. Okay. I'm going to give him this.
So while you're just looking and watching this presentation of Titikshu Prabhu for the next 15 minutes, please bear in mind that after this there will be an interactive exercise where we will be requesting you to divide into your own yatras, to think of the goals you want to have this year, next year and beyond. And there will be some thoughts which will be shared on the slides what those goals can be. And then we will do a little exercise in the groups here straight after Titikshu Prabhu's presentation.
So we're using a mic here.
Yes, because it's live. So just put this in your pocket, Prabhu, if you don't mind.
Sorry, it's the bottom one, right?
This one.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I've been asked to just briefly go over the presentation we did at the Marathon Festival at the end of 2018. And this is just a quick report from what books went out of the warehouse in 2018 for England and Wales. So it's not necessarily books distributed, because some temples have probably got books in stock still. But it's like the books have gone to the departure lounge in the airport. Once you've gone to the departure lounge, you're gone. Sooner or later, you're out of the country. So in a similar way, these books that have gone out of the warehouse, they will be distributed if they haven't already been. So I'll just quickly run through it because lots of figures can get very boring. So this is the monthly totals comparing 2017 to 18. This is in thousands. So you can see November, December, books are taken for the marathon, like that. Not a lot goes on the first part of the year. There's a little spike in the summer, small marathon sometimes. But most of the books in the UK, they're going out in November, being taken to the temples for distribution during December. We can see that in aggregate we're slightly down on 2017. But again, it depends what books are in stock in the temples. But it gives a rough idea. So then we'll just look at the 3 top temples, what their yearly totals are. And this is going back to when I started keeping the records in 2001.
I think that deserves a round of applause if you just look at the
So Wales were doing, for instance, in 2001, they were doing 3,000 books. And that has now risen to, what was that, 67,000 that they took last year. This is London. You see there, again in thousands. And then the manor is slightly down. But there are a lot of books in stock. As I said, these are books leaving the warehouse and not necessarily those distributed. And this is the top temples for 2017. In terms of thousands of books, again, distributed throughout the year. And then compared to 2018, we have like that. Not all the Nam hats are there because a lot of them come under temples, so their scores are added into those temples. And these are year totals here for the whole yatra. 2018, 300,000 books. These are the temples in terms of book points. Again, in thousands of book points. And then 2018, the book points. So that was 2017 compared to 2018, book points there. And this is book points year totals. There's a little bit of a dip, but we're coming back there strongly. And here we have Lakshmi remitted to the VBT. This is thousands of, hundreds of thousands, 300 and... Sorry, I can't read the last one. What have we got on the last one there for? 355,000. 355,000 pounds remitted to the VBT.
If you want to also see the figures, they're also in front of you. I think
Yeah.
you'll find that easier.
Maybe. Thanks. And just as a matter of interest, which books are they that are going out? So these are the figures for 2018 of which books went from the warehouse. You can see Beyond Birth and Death was nearly 50,000. In Essence, 43,000 nearly. Bhagavad Gitas, all Bhagavad Gitas, 42,000, like that. So we can see which books are being distributed the most. And then we finish here with just a quote from Srila Prabhupada. My first concern is that my books shall be published and distributed profusely all over the world. Practically, books are the basis of our movement. Without our books, our preaching will have no effect. So it's a really nice meditation, this particular quote. And so that is the end of the report. I said it would be quick, but it just gives a rough idea of what's going on. So I'd like to say a few words regarding the books and book production. There's a few interesting facts that I've come across. For instance, we all know that the Brihat Mridanga is the powerful way of chanting Hare Krishna. In other words, it is the big Mridanga that by distributing books, we're able to spread the holy name in the written form in a far greater way than we can by performing Harinam on the street. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he said that that this chanting of Harinam can go maybe 2 or 3 blocks, but the books, they can travel all over the world. So there's an interesting fact. Srila Prabhupada, he started this movement, or he started his printing production with a BTG. It was a magazine. And I have here an example of one of the BTGs that Prabhupada actually distributed in Delhi. This is from 1958. Somehow Prabhupada's hand actually touched this. He personally distributed all of the BTGs in the early days that he published. But he met one gentleman, I can't remember who it was, whether it was a printer or a sponsor, somebody, And he said to him, why don't you print hardback books? They will last longer. So then Srila Prabhupada began this translation of the Bhagavatam. And I've got an example here. This is a facsimile reproduction that the North European BBT did of the first 3 volumes that Prabhupada had he had printed, which he took to New York. Brahma Maharta from the North European BBT, he went and found the original printer who printed these. And he found the original cloth covers, the original paper, everything. And he got the original printer who printed those first Bhagavatams to print these facsimile editions. And we have these in 3 volumes. And so Srila Prabhupada, he then took this instruction from this person and said, okay, I'll start translating the hardback copy. So it's interesting. The hardback book can last a very long time. The first book which was ever published was the Bible, printed by the Gutenberg Press in Germany. And who knows what year that was? It was 1455. So it was about the same time as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They printed 158 copies of the Bible. So out of those 158 copies, how many do you think are left now? How many are surviving? Does anyone know? There's 49. So that's 1/3. So it means the hardback book, it can last 500 years. So at five generations per 100 years, that's what's that? That's 25 generations. So the hardback book, it can last for 25 generations. When we give out one of these books on the street, it has its own leela. It will go somewhere. It will reach people. If it doesn't reach one person, it will go somewhere else. So it's a really important point. Another story I'll quickly tell you is that there was an American professor, a guy called Morris, and he had this idea that what font you used would make a difference to how people understood or accepted what was written. So that was in 1980. He had this idea that fonts could affect how people understood the truth. And so it wasn't until 2013 that he did this. He was able to do an experiment to find out if it was true, what he was thinking. So he persuaded the New York Times to write an article for him, or he published an article in the New York Times. And they used 6 different fonts. And those 6 different fonts were distributed to different areas of New York, like that. So they asked the reader's response as to what they felt was true in this article which was written. So they got 45,000 responses. And there was one font in particular out of the 5 which proved to be much more, people were much more receptive to accepting the truth when it was written in this font. And it was a font called Baskerville. So you can read this. It's called the Baskerville Experiment, and it was done in New York in 2013. So this Baskerville font is quite interesting. So when we look at Prabhupada's original Bhagavatam sets, so what font do you think this is? It's Baskerville. Somehow, by divine intervention, these books were published in Baskerville. And now the North European BBT, all new editions of books which are being printed are using the Baskerville font. So I thought that was an interesting fact there. The other thing, we often want, we may wonder, we can see the effect of the Sankirtan movement, we can see because we're here. But sometimes we wonder, what effect is it having on the outside world? Are there examples? Can we see something going on? Which we are able to understand is the effect of the Sankirtan movement. And actually there are many things which we can understand are the direct effect of the Sankirtan movement, because traditionally we understand that basically every yuga, it starts at a certain point and it becomes more and more degraded. So that's a fact. That until you get to the end of Kali, then we start again with Satya. But through the course of the 4 yugas, everything becomes more and more degraded. So if something happens which is against the trend of the yuga, then that must be an influence from outside of that yuga. So for instance, we can see the rise of vegetarianism, which is coming from the quality of mercy. So in Kali Yuga, how can the quality of mercy be increasing when the mood or the trend of the yuga is to degrade, to become less merciful? So somehow it is. So it means that something has come from outside of the yuga and influenced the yuga. So that is the Sankirtan movement. There are other sort of more, basic examples. That, for instance, in 1971 there was a war between Pakistan and India, and it only lasted 2 weeks, and they were both nuclear powers. And Prabhupada was in India at the time, and he said, this war has been stopped by my disciples chanting in India, by doing Harinam. But he only had 20 disciples in Calcutta at the time. So this is the power. We cannot underestimate the power of this Sankirtan movement. It's just like an iceberg. We only see the tip of the iceberg. We just see around us some devotees, some temples, but an iceberg is massive. It goes down under the sea. And so there are millions of people who are reading our books. There are millions of people who are favourable. You meet them all the time. So we should never underestimate. So I guess we'll finish there. And we go on to the next stage of this seminar. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai.
Thank you, Diksha Prabhu. Diksha Prabhu is very inspiring. Every time I meet him, he asks me how many Bhagavatam sets. I'll say these many. He said every person must take 3 sets, whoever you're giving, 1 for themselves and 2 that they need to distribute. So he's all the time. Every time you call him, there's one idea which comes from Diksha Prabhu. So thank you, Diksha Prabhu, for your ever-increasing inspiration. Great. So we move on to our next exercise, which is a little bit of an interactive session now. We are looking to come up with the goals for UK Yatra together collectively, and in order to do this we need to work first in our own yatras where we are and come up with the goals, and how we would like to look at, we would like the goals to be SMART, which is specific, measurable. Who knows what does A stands for? Achievable. What does R stands for? Realistic. And T for time bound. So please, when you do this exercise, try to make the goals SMART. Titikshu Prabhu shared some scores, but again, you already have some idea of your yatra as to how you've been doing over the last couple of years. So the questions we can ask ourselves is, how can we expand Sankirtan in our yatras? Is congregation one of the keys to success? What other keys are there? And then based on the scores of the last 2 years of performance, what does the goal looks like in terms of the number of books to start with? and also in terms of the effort, actually, what effort can we put in order for us to come up with the goals, and what follow-up programs can we include in the Sankirtan. There is a lot of emphasis and with all the reasons to be there, that we need to follow up and make sure the devotees also come and take to the process. But I like what Titikshu Prabhu said, we shouldn't underestimate the power of Srila Prabhupada books. Devotees will come. We may not be able to see the whole picture now, but at least from our effort point of view, it would be good to come together. So please, if I could request you to now, there are tables all across dotted here in the rooms. There are flip charts which are on the tables. There are pens on the tables. So please invite your yatras together in each group, and then please write down, use a flip chart. One flip chart you can just have some rough sort of notes, and there is a second flip chart where you can really pin down your goals for 2019 and beyond. Let's say maybe at least if we focus for our 1 year, and then a 5-year goal in the mind where we want to get in the future. And that will give you 20 minutes to have a brainstorming session among yourself to come up with these goals. And then maybe 5 to 1 for 20 minutes, we'll request His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu to, probably he will ask the questions, what those some of you can come up, each leader from the yatra can come up and say these are the goals we have come up with, and we can have some discussion on them. We may not be able to cover everybody, I'll come back to you, Titikshu Prabhu, but we will try our best to maybe have some recommendations from each one of you. And also do think big, because Prabhupada always wanted us to think big. There may be some yatras right at the bottom of the chart which Titikshu Prabhu showed, but it can only take 2 years or 3 years where you can be right on the top. So please don't stop yourself from thinking big in terms of coming up with these goals. And that was one of our objectives of this retreat, Live to Give retreat, was to collectively come together as a nation and come up with the goals. North America did this exercise a few years ago, and now you could see on the graph which Vaisesika Prabhu showed us that every year they're improving on the goals. So the goals are very, very important. So 2 things to remember: number of books in terms of the goals, and the efforts which we can put as a goal for the next year and the 5 years coming forward. Any questions or comments on that? Titikshu Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that if you really want to increase book distribution, you've got to increase the book distributors.
Okay, so
if everyone in this room
found
one book distributor in the next year, one devotee to become a book distributor, immediately you've doubled it. You've doubled the books being distributed.
There we go. That's your idea for the effort.
Can one devotee distribute?
Okay.
You have to increase the distributors.
Thank you. So Titikshu Prabhu just suggested that we increase the number of book distributors. We inspire and, as Vaisesika Prabhu says, encourage the heck out of the people or the devotees who you work with, and that's the way you bring the devotees who naturally feel inspiration to do this service, and that way the books will grow in big numbers. So do take that in consideration, a very valuable feedback by Titikshu Prabhu. So now if nobody has any comments or question, so please take a table for your yatras. For Bhaktivedanta Manor, we have some, again, be with your leaders as well, and then we have Vishwamba Prabhu, Titikshu Prabhu and Vaisesika Prabhu here as well. If you wanted to take any tips, they'll come around your table and give you some suggestions. So feel free to invite them onto your tables. And for Manor, we have Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu, Vrindavan Chand Prabhu is around as well, Guru Shakti Mataji, my wife Rindarika Ramya is there. So please feel free to get together with the leaders and come up with the goals. We'll give you 20 minutes. Go.
Okay, so most of our book distributors have come up from Wales today.
Everybody is here.
Yeah. So we brainstormed our situation currently and a couple of maybe potential places which we could improve. One of the probably our where we have to improve is involving more of the congregation, more of the community in our temple, and actually communicating to them about what our goals are, how people can be involved. And we also decided we need to diversify our Sankirtan more, increase training. One thing we did see is that because our actual full-time book distributors have increased by 20%, then it's not unrealistic to increase the rest of the year for our Sankirtan by 20%. And by doing that, we will increase our year overall by, the aim is by 10%. And we want to communicate this to our community. So our SMART goals, by trying to achieve these things, one thing is we should communicate our goals to our community effectively with regular revisits. So there should be some way that our whole yatra can see where we want to go, where we are now, and how we are progressing regularly. So we all come up with a chart and some way to really communicate this and make everyone involved. In order for the way to increase congregational development and go towards diversify the Sankirtan, we've recently really started to try doing this monthly Sankirtan festival. And I think this could be a very good measuring stick and a good something for our community to really rally behind in order to increase the involvement of the community, the galvanization of everyone within the temple and outside, and to see how we can make incremental increases in our Sankirtan broadly like that. And with that, we can involve training. It's like one of our new devotees, Paul, was saying that one of the things that he'd like to have is he wants someone to just explain to him train him a bit more. What are the best lines to say to people? What works for other people? And can you share that with me? We want to continue the emphasis on books like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna book. And in terms of our brainstorming about what follow-up programs can be included, one thing that a lot of us find very inspiring is Keshava Bharati Maharaj's recent, he just reads the Bhagavatam, he opens it up for everyone to hear. And we're situated very nicely in Cardiff that we have a cafe right on the city centre. So many people who we give books to, we can actually invite them to, we should start a reading group, like Vaisesika was saying, open class, So it's something that's very simple, that even the devotees just like to read together, and we have that cafe right in the city centre. So if every book we distributed, we gave them a little invite to our reading group, because we distribute a lot of our books in Cardiff, where the cafe is, then I think that would go a long way to more than just distributing the books, but it would help convince people and show people how to read the books. And I think those are some goals that could really increase the Sankirtan in ISKCON Wales. Thank you very much. Yeah.
To the Wales group, that's a very well thought out set of goals. It's diversified. It includes ways of building your team through education and training. And also, it'll be interesting to see how the reading group works, because generally when there's an open reading like that, it attracts people and they get interested, and it's also inspirational to the Sankirtan party to see that there's a follow-up and there's an outlet where people can come. So I really liked what you did. Just for the monthly Sankirtan festival, one thought I had was, it's a little different for the full-time devotees than it is for the congregation. And for those who might come out on a monthly basis, if you make it really easy. So it seems like it's so easy that they say, well, that's ridiculous, anybody could do that. And take the pressure off them completely, especially for the first year. Don't expect any result from the MSF, from the people going out. Just make the goal that they go out and touch the pavement together at the spot where they're going to go. And anything they do after that is extra. There will be a result, but if you make it that they don't have to perform or show them, prove themselves in any way, that they just get in the habit of going out and experiencing what it's like to be out there together in the great unknown and moving from one place to the next to actually get out there, that gets the momentum going for people in the congregation. And from there, you'll find leaders and people start to get a taste, and it'll make it'll develop an identity of its own. Those are just a few thoughts that I had.
Okay, thank you, Gopal Prabhu. So if we could have another volunteer from one more yatra, maybe we'll just take three minutes you could present and a couple of minutes for Vaisesika Prabhu to comment. So maybe we can have Soho, representative who's coming, His Grace Namasakirtan Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Just in case you're wondering that, we're doing the goals, we'll go back. Just to let you know, it's been broadcasted live. So there's an evidence that you're committing to the goals here.
It took me half an hour. So, we had this little motto in our temple. It was coined by Radharaman Prabhu. It's called doing the obvious. So there are small things that we can all do. Like, for example, when we have festivals in the temple, many devotees come, and usually in the hall and in the reception area we put a lot of books and just put a donation box. And it's very simple, it requires no people. Books are there and devotees take books from the festivals. So, in our temple we have Sankirtan, Hare Krishna. So usually we have Sankirtan meetings, but because we do Sankirtan meetings in the morning only, Sankirtan devotees from the temple come, so this is a little problem. So we need to increase the amount of devotees from the congregation attending the meetings so they can actually understand what is going on, what is our goals, and what things are happening. So for that, for a long time we were thinking of how to do it. And recently there's a devotee from Hungary, and they're really revolutionizing their Sankirtan administration technology. So they're working on actually they developed a very successful Sankirtan administration program, which is working from an app. So when devotees come to the temple, they submit their scores. Yeah, thank you. They submit their scores with an app. And so clearly everyone can see what is the goal for the month, what is the goal for the year, and they clearly can see how they're actually contributing to completion of this goal by doing whatever they can do. Every day after class we read out the scores in our temple, and so when the new software comes, right now we're working on it, everyone will see not just the daily scores, but where we are in the month or in the year. So from 2012 or 13, every year we've been increasing book distribution in terms of Lakshmi points, and so for the last 3 years, by devotees' grace and Srila Prabhupada's mercy and Krishna's grace, we've been increasing by 10% every year. So we have a few sponsorship campaigns in the temple right now. One of them is called Supreme Contribution, because it's the 50th anniversary for ISKCON London, or the whole UK Yatra. So according to Radharaman Prabhu, and I mean all the devotees know that, the first set of Srimad Bhagavatam, the second canto, part 1, had a picture of Sri Radha Lundanishwara. So a little offering to installation of Sri Radha Lundanishwara is to reprint 2.1 Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1 with a new updated picture of Radhalandeshwara. And to celebrate this occasion, basically we started this campaign, it's called the Supreme Contribution. So by sponsoring 100 Bhagavad Gitas or 100 books, whatever devotees can do. So right now the book is going into printing in about probably 3-4 days. And inside the book there will be a list of all the devotees who contributed towards that. And just by doing this Supreme Contribution campaign in December, and it's going from one December to another December, so for one whole year, we managed to hugely increase our results in this marathon and throughout the year. So it's a very successful program. So speaking of the follow-up, because book distribution, doesn't really, exist without proper follow-up, as Chichikshpa was saying, that we need to increase the number of book distributors. So we have one very successful program, it's called Wednesday Wisdom, or Wisdom Wednesdays. So, and every time you come and you see about 30 or 20 people sitting there, and they're all new, they're all young and enthusiastic, and so something we need to improve is how to involve the new people who just come into Krishna consciousness or are favorable and start to chant, how to take them out on the street and to get the high taste. So this is one of the areas we need to definitely improve. So I think in 2013 we had about 4 Wiccan Warriors groups. So Wiccan Warrior West, Wiccan Warrior East, Wiccan Warriors South and North. Right now I just only have 1 Wiccan Warriors, and mostly temple devotees. And so this is something we need to improve, is how to invite more devotees from the community to take part in Wiccan Warriors. And so for that, just right now in our group, we decided to somehow promote book distribution in places where most congregations are coming together. So places like Sunday feasts and the festivals. So this is something we need to work on. Sankirtan retreats. So for example, what we are having right now, I don't remember we had this for a long time, probably, I don't know, ever. So it's something that we need to do regularly, and it's nice to just have the community of all the Sankirtan devotees, to see devotees from Wales and from Neman and from other different places coming together and just sharing their thoughts. It's very, very valuable, and we need to thank everyone who's here and organizing. And the last one, just not to stretch it too long, is we were greatly inspired by how Vaisesika was saying that devotees, before a festival, they would read together, or they would read the whole 7th canto before Nrisimha Chaturdashi. So reading together, it's a very powerful tool to bring devotees together and just to tune them to the same frequency. So we used to do regular readings every Easter Gosti, and so from now on we decided to increase our reading together and maybe to read every Sankirtan meeting that we have. So it's a nice thing. Now our main successful practice in Soho Street is a book table. It's called Fortunate People Party. So probably we're going to show some pictures later on.
Yes, we have pictures.
Yeah, and so it's a book table, and it's a very, very nice thing to bring devotees who never tried book distribution before, new devotees who just join the temple to see how it's actually very easy. And right now we're working on how to improve the appearance, the look of this book table. And recently we got a few new additional features for the book table, and it's looking very nice. Yeah, so this is Shyam Kishore Prabhu. We're distributing books in Camden Town. So there's our sign. It's actually, if you're driving in the car and you have the headlights on, you can see it very clearly because it's like a road sign. So yeah, we recently got this new cover and the golden top, so it looks very cool. Yeah, so like this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
That was very comprehensive, and there were great ideas throughout. A few of the ones that I particularly noted were that could be picked up by anyone. Promoting book distribution at Sunday feasts and festivals. There's an opportunity there to expand your party. Oftentimes devotees, they'll read the scores at obscure times when they just do it for the deities in the morning at Mangalartik when not as many people are there. But when you make a grand production of reading the scores at the most populated times at the temple or in the community, then people pick up on the energy of it. So one of the ways in which we've done that in many of the areas that are following the MSF system is to do it at festival times or at the time when the most people are there. We gather around Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasana and we do a reading. A reading means that somebody actually prepares a paper that talks about everything that's been done and all the scores and things like that, and the devotees are very focused on that in the whole temple and all the congregation, and they cheer and things like that. You can see samples of that on our Facebook pages. And to the extent we don't do this anymore. I don't necessarily recommend it, but this is the way we've been thinking. And this may just be for your amusement, actually. But when we first started at ISV, we were so intent on getting book distribution going and get everyone in the congregation involved that our Sunday program used to go like this. It had two parts. First part was the first half of the lecture, and then we'd talk a lot about how important it was to give mercy to other people. Then we take an intermission, and we ask everybody, including all the new guests, to stand up, and if they were interested in trying it, they could walk outside, and there would be somebody waiting to greet them with a clipboard and a car ready to take them away. And they could go out for another 45 minutes, and they would be taken door to door for an experience. And then we'd promise them they'd get back by Nishringa prayers and Prasadam. And at every Sunday feast, we had at least half the population of the feast would clear out. They get in cars, they go out, and then they come back, and the excitement was palpable. And then we'd pass the microphone around and say, how did you like it? And they were like, it was amazing, I can't believe it. The most notable was a guy who said, I'm an atheist, and my friend told me to come to the Hare Krishna temple. I went out, I sold the Bhagavad Gita. So score reading is a time actually to promote Sankirtan. It's not to hide it or just to do it at an obscure time. And if you do it all at once rather than piecemeal every day, you accumulate it and really bring out a strong report. That's better. And this thing I heard in a lot of groups that meet and plan regularly, because a lot of groups are saying, like, this is actually nice. Sitting here with a big piece of paper and a pen and asking everyone their ideas actually works. I made the comment in the back there that the wars are won in the general's tent. When you're planning carefully ahead of time, then you can win the war strategically and save yourself a lot of problems. And then reading together, excellent idea. Did you say Fortunate People's Party? Yeah. That's a really good title. I love that. And the whole mood where you said new people could come out, that's what reminded me of the Sunday thing that we did for a while. Really excellent goals, and I can see why you're doing so well. Your management and leadership is excellent. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm just conscious of time. 1:30 was the time. Well, 1:15 to 1:30 we were supposed to go down for lunch. If you are all happy, we can finish this exercise and then go for lunch in another 10 minutes. We can try and round it up. Is that what you like to do, or you like to go for lunch and then come back and continue the exercise? Finish it. I think everybody would like to finish it. Okay, great. All right. So can we have maybe Reading Yatra? We can have Reading Yatra volunteer. Please come up and share with us. Reading Yatra is the process of... Yeah, please keep your goals with you now. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you can pin this for your sari, like, just so that Vishal Gauranga Prabhu confirms whatever the goals he's hearing. You can hear later. It's not sticking?
It's okay.
Oh, you can hold it. Yeah, okay. Perfect.
It's okay. It won't. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's not staying here. It's got to be close our ears. I can hold. Oh, yeah, it's okay. I can hold it. Can I hold it?
Oh, you know why? It's on the wrong thing, that's why. Now it's
Okay? It's okay, I can hold it. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Actually, the Reading group, we have come so far only by the mercy of the devotees and guidance of the devotees. And thank you so much for all the devotees and senior devotees who have guided us. So we never knew how we are doing till we saw Titichu Prabhu's presentation, because we didn't know how the whole UK is doing. So we got an idea, okay, we're not doing so bad, because we're thinking we don't have a temple or anything, it's just a few devotees doing. So it was very inspiring. Thank you, Titichu Prabhu, and thank you, Divyanam Prabhu, for organizing. So we just saw in that we have taken 1,300 books in 2017 and 1,700 books in 2018. So as per instructions, we just wrote down what was given there. So like Titichu Prabhu said, we thought we will increase the book distributors. We have around 24 distributors now, at least distributing one book a year. So when we calculated, so we thought that at least 10% increase would come to around 30 distributors till by the end of the year. And then 2018, we have taken 1,700 books from BBT. So this year, we thought we will take 2,500 by the end of the year. For marathon, we will take. And then that's just 10%. So please, plus. And we do book distribution at least once a month. We've been trying to put it as a monthly Sankirtan festival. We have not been able to do that. We come together, we go out together, and then we tried the Touch the Pavement, and that really worked well with the new people. So now we want to really organize the once a month Sankirtan festival in Reading, and maintain that every month. Have that, and then fortunately we have His Grace Bhaktavatsala Prabhu, who's our book distribution leader, so he inspires everyone to come. He keeps sending messages again, who's coming, so he keeps the drive, so that is, we are very grateful for that. And in terms of the effort, we thought we will start doing smart boxes with the contacts with the shops and like that, and then we tried in one hotel actually, but then they said they're not putting the tip, that money they're putting here, so they didn't want it. So we want to try the businesses directly now, the small shops like that. And then one thing what Bhaktavatsala Prabhu is really keen on is the set of books, the Saptarshi set, and so hopefully we will work more towards that, doing the book sets. We also do by Divyanam Prabhu's mercy and Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu's mercy, we do the Bhagavatam sets as well. So we have Bhagavatam reading every Tuesday on Skype. So first they start reading from the website or just take the first book, but then they want the whole set. So like that we are trying to get more devotees to take Bhagavatam sets. So that also we would like to do more Bhagavatam installations and then spread that message of Bhagavatam. Then His Grace Vishwambhar Prabhu very mercifully agreed to come for seminar and train us in book distribution. So he said he will come. Thank you, Vishwambhar Prabhu. That's a really big thing. It's a really big thing for us because we started a few years back when Madhurya Gaurangi Mataji came and she trained us. She took us out on street. So that's how we started. So she trained us. Then we have also other efforts is we do Food for All every Wednesday, but it's just the prasadam now. So we are planning to have this book stand there so they can take the books and give donation that time, because we don't keep the books now and we don't even keep the donation box now. So if we just keep the, some of them give donation and then we give a book, but now we want to keep the book stand so that is displayed and they can take a book and give donation. Then we do programs in different areas now, but we have not been able to get the devotees there to come out on books. So that's another thing that we want to do, that once a month we do in Reading, but also some groups go out to other areas and help the devotees there to distribute books. So they all do, in our programs we do small books, but small scale book distribution, but we have not gone out on the streets so much. So we want to focus, so we just wrote down all the areas that we can, locations that we can go. So there are programs happening in that area, so follow-up is easier. And in terms of follow-up, it's the last one, follow-up programs. We have once a month program that happens, that is for devotees, for people from the street. So Pradap Maya Prabhu and Kishori Mataji does that. So it's called Mantra Vibes. So the fresh people come there, we have flyers for that. So along with the books and otherwise also we distribute the flyers and we invite them for this Mantra Vibes program, and from there we bring them to the regular programs. So and also we have different programs in different areas. So we do book distribution and then get the people to come for this program. So that's the follow-up program. And another one is internal training to make more book distributors. So we are very fortunate that we have Pradap Maya Prabhu, who is really powerful book distributor. So he will start giving more training to the devotees. So that's the plan, that he can train, because he's also from sales background plus devotees, so quite powerful. So he has agreed to give regular training to the new devotees and inspire more devotees to come. So please bless us for our tiny efforts to please Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
5 years down the line, we shouldn't be surprised if Reading is on number top. No doubt about it.
I thought your point about having a book stand with food for all, is that what you call it? Is an excellent one, because one of the ways in which Prabhupada had trained us was that at any program there was what he called the bookstore. And whenever he gave a talk, he would always make sure the bookstore was there. That meant that there was a table with all of his books displayed. And at every event, there's an opportunity for this. Which one of the 4 laws of book distribution would you say that fits into making sure that there's a book table at any kind of event? Yeah, that's right. And we used to have home programs at our house. For like 16 years we had home programs. And I thought, these are all devotees coming over. What do we need a book table for? But I put it up anyway, and I was surprised. We did like practically sell out the book table on a regular basis. And I just started noticing at Rath Yatras also, the more book tables we put up around the Rath Yatra, the more books we sold. So it's a general principle, and I really like that you brought this up in your presentation, was that if you add it on, wherever you go, if you're doing something, just put a book table. It can even be innocuous over somewhere, nearby, and you'll definitely sell books because of the principles. The more you show, the more you sell. And many of the other ones, the Smart Box, I think you brought that up first, more than others haven't brought it up so much, but Smart Box is something that gets a lot of the congregation involved because it's a really gentle touch. And we have teams that can help advise you on that too and help you. Nice presentation, really good ideas. I'm not mentioning them all for sake of time.
Okay, I think we'll have to break for lunch now because Prasadam is being late for everybody. So we will come back and continue this exercise. We've got Bhaktivedanta Manor Yatra, and then we have Birmingham Yatra. Which other yatra am I missing?
GBC National.
Yeah, Sacred Street Party is part of the Bhaktivedanta Manor Yatra, and GBC National Office Yatra. How can we forget them? So we'll have these three yatras straight after the lunch. It's 1:35 now. Is it possible we could all be back at 2:20 because we've gone over a little bit by the time? So 2:20, is that okay with everybody? Yeah, okay, so if we all come back at 2:20, Vishwamba Prabhu, you had a message about gender.
So now I'm going to tell you some tips, give you some tips, upon receiving which, right?
If we can finish the yatras.
Yatras, yeah, let's finish the yatras.
Great, so if we can have Birmingham Yatra to come up.
Let's hear it from Birmingham. Now, I just want to teach you a trick, how to expand Sankirtan. When your colleagues come up, the teams or individuals, give an especially warm welcome. Like over what you would expect would be a good welcome, go like one notch above that. You just try it for the next one and see what happens. Now, let him introduce Birmingham, and then just go a little while when you appreciate them as they're coming up. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're normally at a 4, go to like a 5.5 and see what happens. Okay, go ahead. Try it again.
Okay, so
Oh.
Thank you much. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to invite Birmingham Yatra. Birmingham Yatra is very special. We have few devotees here, especially we have Vinod Manjari Mataji, who is a real Sankirtan warrior for years. I had a good fortune of meeting with her about a couple of years ago. And I was so inspired, her health is not well, and despite of her health, she goes out on book distribution regularly. She took to the distribution of Bhagavatam sets which we were doing, and then every time there's a festival or something, she'll always message us on the group saying, I need a Bhagavatam set. They go out on Harinam with few devotees, they come out and they distributed a Bhagavatam set on a Harinam to somebody. So Birmingham Yatra has a real good future, and today we have Nitai Prabhu, who's also recently moved to Birmingham from Swindon. To say the least, Birmingham was doing good, now it's going to become even great with the help of Nitai Kripa Prabhu and Paula Mataji there. So let's put our hands together for Birmingham Yatra.
Birmingham, 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 Birmingham.
We better do good now.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, thank you for such a warm welcome. So with Birmingham, so we started by thinking what we'd done in the previous years. So in 2017, there'd been a big Christmas marathon where the devotees had managed to gain sponsorship and distribute 5,000 books, which was really amazing. This recent Christmas marathon, so the Prabhupada marathon, we managed to distribute 1,000 books, which may seem like a smaller number. But one of the differences here was we made sure that literally they were actually all sponsored as well, so it was quite a large number, and the numbers of devotees we had were a bit smaller. But we made a different goal this year, which was to have at least 50 devotees involved in the book distribution, so that was our goal. And in the end, there was 55 devotees all came out as part of the team. So our ideas, so the first thing we came up with was actually recording how many books we distribute, because at the moment that's something that we do it sort of at certain times of the year, but they're not throughout the year. So we've set a goal to make sure we record how many books we distribute, which includes when devotees are going on Harinams, devotees in different parts of the temple. And also we have a College of Vedic Studies there, so they distribute a lot of books. So just to create a group where everyone can just put their scores on easily so we can capture everything.
we had another goal to get organised and focus on team building and getting together a good team spirit, and to widen the team where we can and recruit new members to build the team up. And one thing we'd really like to focus on this year is to start doing monthly Sankirtan festivals from this month onwards. So that's a big goal. Other things we discussed were making sure that the transport's not an issue of getting to the Birmingham city centre, and also looking at new locations like smaller towns outside of the main city, parks, things that are family friendly, and then we talked about the summer marathon, so organising that as well to fit in maybe with one of the MSFs, and then to do book packs. And one thing we found really successful this year is to do book distribution at festivals. So say there was a Diwali festival in Birmingham, we went there and it was big, so we just, to try and, if we can get someone to maybe look after the organisation of when the festivals are, and then let the rest of the team know, and then we make sure we can hit all these festivals as well during the year. Okay.
Really well thought out, and all the initiatives that you all thought of, I think are well-rounded and will make a huge difference. Did you like the process?
Yeah, we really.
Just getting together?
I think, yeah, just having that time to think about it.
Yeah, so I noted this too in all the groups. Everyone said the same thing. This feels really good. So feel free to take time to do this on a regular basis. If you come together as a group and discuss what's working, two things, and where there's room for improvement. And one of your biggest areas to focus on is where there's room for improvement. So during any particular event or festival, if you have somebody that's designated to write down where the gaps are, then those are very valuable. As once you have them on a list, and then you look at it as a group and you decide how to fill the gaps, then what happens is you make incremental improvements every single time. So really well done. Birmingham.
He's also done some goals for the GBC Yatra here, and so you'd like to request him to share his goals as well. So
GBC. I'm not a GBC.
At the same time, I'll also request Vaisesika Prabhu to share a few words of inspiration for all of us, because he's a national figure inspiring all of us. In fact, international, even Europe and beyond. So Prabhu was to speak a little bit later, but since he's going to talk, I'll request him, if that's okay with you, Maharaj, so he can speak 10 minutes with us. Something. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your wonderful association, Vaisesika Prabhu. There is a say, great souls in the Bhagavatam, they never stop to purify themselves. They have to always seek for purification. Even Lord Krishna himself, when he associates with the saintly people, he feels purified. God himself. Of course, he is the supreme Param Dhamma? No, what is it? The supreme pure. Pavitram, that's the one. But still, he says, I feel purified. So I feel purified, by your presence, yeah? Just a quick thing, I think this is the motto by Vaisesika Prabhu. He told me last time, before you accept any European position, just get all the leaders and temple president involved. Because, we know, Yad Shrestha, if you're a leader walks the talk, then everyone will follow. So I felt a little bit an hypocrite. I was going around and helping out all the table on the request of Devinam Prabhu. But then I said, what about me? I'm supposed, to be a pilot light for all of you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to do seminars, but I should also do my bit, because I never felt good, to, like, the words of Mussolini. I don't know if you know the history, let's arm ourselves, let's get ready for the battle, let's, and go, he would say, then go. And he would go back in his office, doing all this nonsense. So, and I don't like leaders like that. I think leaders, they should walk the talk, and that they come across more in terms of credential and credibility. Devotees, they say they like me because I go out every day. Not what I say, what I do, but that itself is an inspiration. I feel inspired by Vaisesika Prabhu, Prabhupada Dasa, very rare breed, still not just distributing books, but inspiring the world. That's it's a legend for me. So I felt, that let me do my a penny contribution here. Let me give the GBC National Office. I'm supposed to be not partial to any temple. My scores before, I remember when I won a marathon 2-3 years on the road, they were going to the manor. And then South Street Temple President, my duty said, why, if he's on a national road, why should he go to the manor? I think he had a good point. So on the management council, I dismissed myself. I said, I don't think I should be linked to any temples. And I think it's working well, isn't that, Sutapa Prabhu? That, I'm a free agent. Doesn't mean, that I don't do anything, but I belong to all of you, all the temples. So please don't feel just because I live, 1 minute away from the manor, I'm part of the manor. I'm not part of the manor. I go, even my scores, I stopped. I go out every day. But I didn't want my scores to be read, to Radha Gokulananda, because then, it should be read to Radha Landonishvara and then Welsh Gornitai. It should be. So I said, okay, don't worry, I'm the silent partner of all of you. I feel good, I do my bit. Devotees, they feel inspired like that. So I feel that I've been used in a proper way. I'm privileged, to be at the service of all of you, and I pledged, a little increase here. I'm going to get Tikshu Prabhu to go out once a month, number one. He's agreed already. We used to, it was not regulated. We used to go, but then, but anyway, he's agreed. And then I'm going to get Pragosh Prabhu to agree to come out at least 4 times a year. And myself, also my bid is to increase 10% compared to last year. It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but you could see I made the same commitment. You saw the presentation of Tiksha Prabhu that 2017, I was national office. It's just me really going out every day. But it was number 4, isn't it, by Vaisesika Prabhu?
I saw it.
Yeah. And I remained number 4 temple, all year long. You could see I don't do much, but the fixed drop makes the whole, can you imagine all of you, there's a lot of you do much, much bigger than me. But if you dovetail that commitment, to full time, it's a lot from a lot, you can say. Anyway, so this is the bit, that we have committed. And what I was going to say, you asked me to say a few words, then I don't have to speak afterwards, isn't that? Yeah. Okay, so this is let's close this book. Thank you very much for this. And now we'll open up another book about my own experience today and yesterday. I feel very purified, privileged to be with all of you. Because book distributors, for me, in my own opinion, everybody's entitled to their opinion, Krishna says, not me. But everybody, it could be wrong, it could be right, it could be impartial. in my opinion, the book distributors in ISKCON, they are the cream of the movement. I am partial towards them. I am indeed partial, and that's why I have a great respect for those who embrace this activity, like especially if they are leaders. I have a great respect, great love and affection towards those who have committed their lives, to this, because, ISKCON is an institution, it's like the body, let's put it in this way, very crude example, but just to give an idea. And the mission that Prabhupada gave is like the soul. The mission constitute, the prasad distribution, book distribution, and Harinam, the holy name. So those who are distributing books, prasadam and the holy name, they have actually grasped, the essence of Krishna consciousness. But those who do that, and also managing, for me, they've got great respect. Like, for example, Sutapa Prabhu. There is no deities here, so I'm not making aparat. So, but I like to say a few words. He really impresses me because he does a lot. He can manage, he's a multitask. He can write books at the same time. He can inspire brahmachari, he goes out on Sankirtan. He can contribute on the management council now. And it's a pilot light for all the brahmacharis at the manor. And I think he's even higher than the temple president because he's a regional secretary now. And soon he's taking sannyas. You could see, that he just walk around, with a fame in his pocket. Oh, I'm regional secretary. And, but actually he does the work. He really inspires me a lot. He's a young man. And I want to say that I feel, just like you say, misery is like company, but also bliss likes company. That is always blissful, and I feel always inclined to associate with him and with all of you. Sankirtan devotees, book distributors, they are the ones, why I said the cream, because they're above, all the nonsense, going on. When you boil the milk, there's an impurity come out, then the cream comes up, the essence. And I remember once I was brahmachari, and I was dragged into some politics. I was a TP in Leicester, and around the table, and I didn't know how to solve a situation. There was a regional secretary, there was a lot of us, and it was tough. So I said, okay, I'll just get out and think about it. So I got out, I got all the brahmachari, we ran away on Sankirtan. And then they were wondering, where is he gone? So I came back, and I said my contribution was, book distribution. I just wanted that was an act, my contribution to all of you. And they were wondering, but yes, but what I said, not you decide, because if you contribute to a problem with your own service, I feel that everything, it always freed me from depression, from politics, from fear, above all fear. We all live in fear that we get attacked by disease. My son almost died, a couple of months ago, 3 months ago. And, I got scared, my only son. And but book distribution was my shelter, it made me understand, I'm not a father, Krishna is the father. And gave me so much encouragement. I just carry on my service as an act of prayer. And I felt so inspired when I saw the act of prayer that Vaisesika Prabhu showed on the screen, because even a great soul, they pray, for Krishna to avenge himself. They pray, it's the ultimate act of prayer. If you go out and give this charity to other people, it solves the problems on high management. It definitely does. And I feel blessed to have discovered, this activity of book distribution. For me, is the thank you towards Srila Prabhupada, towards ISKCON, towards my Guru Maharaj. Even though my Guru Maharaj he passed away, but I feel so happy that there is someone who is carrying on the legacy, because I see my Guru Maharaj in this man here. Otherwise, I'll be feeling like an orphan. We all need to be inspired, even no matter what positions we are. Prabhupada inspired himself by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita on the boat before he came to America. We all need inspiration. We need association. Like I think, one of his answers to enhance our sadhana. You associate with those who are stronger than you. So for me, when I am with all of you, I feel protected. I feel that I can't do anything wrong. I can't go wrong. There's nothing you could do wrong. You can't make any offenses. You're doing actually not something, but you're doing more. When I said yesterday, talking about if you do nothing, it's better than doing something wrong. But if you do something good, it's better than doing nothing. But if you do more is better than something. Can you imagine if you do a lot? So I feel that all of you are doing a lot. You're doing more. So you're very dear to Lord Chaitanya. And just be happy with the protection that the Lord gives you, the assurance. I've got no shred of doubt that you are very dear to Lord Chaitanya, Vaisesika Prabhu. And all of you. So please bless me that I can serve, in my whatever little service I could do. I can maintain my commitment and can carry on serving you all, the way I can increase my service the way I've been doing. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
All I can say is when you have that kind of heart and soul in a yatra, it just lifts everybody up, because it comes from such a deep loving place that, and that's what holds our movement together. It's love and trust. There may be so much philosophy, but at the end of the day, it's how much we trust each other, how much we love each other, that really inspires us to go on. So Vishwambara Prabhu brings that more than anybody I know, the heart and soul that he brings into the yatra, wherever he goes. Thank you, Vishwambara Prabhu, for being such an example of a loving devotee who appreciates everyone and everything in connection with Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Great. So we'd like to now invite Bhaktivedanta Manor team to present that. Bhaktivedanta Manor team has got few leaders now who are very actively engaged, and we are very fortunate to have quite a few of them here tonight. We have Keshav Gokulananda Prabhu, who is a legend of door-to-door book distribution.
Really?
With his help, we created a history last year in the book marathon, where we were trying to knock 50,000 doors in 24 days. That was our marathon target. And with 3 days remaining, we could only manage to do 19,000 doors. We still had 31 doors to knock with only 3 days remaining. And guess what? In the last 3 days, with everybody's help, everyone coming together, we managed to knock 34,000 doors. And a lot of that work and behind the scenes goes to Keshav Gokulananda Prabhu. We have Hari Kirtan Prabhu, who's our supermarket leader, who's also here with Hari Kirtan Prabhu. Prabhu, could you please stand up, Hari Kirtan Prabhu? He's another legend. We then have Vrindavan Chand Prabhu, who's here, who's our Gomatsya leader, who's now will be soon talking to you after the presentation of Vaisesika Prabhu, on a great opportunity which is waiting for us in 2019 to create the history for Bhagavatam sets again. So Vrindavan Chandra, would you please come up? And then we have Nitin Prabhu, who's also present here, who's helping us working with Radha Dasi Mataji, who couldn't be here today. She's traveling in India right now. But he's been a great help in actually helping me putting this retreat together. And also he's working on a Gita project where they're placing Gitas and many other books of Srila Prabhupada in prisons and hospitals and many other places, working with Soho and many other temples, Reading, many yatras across UK. So let's hear from Nitin Prabhu. Then we have our Sacred Street Party team here. Rishi Prabhu couldn't be here, but we have few devotees at the back. I'll also be inviting them to present as part of the Bhakti Vedanta Bhajan team. But let's hear from Sacred Street Party. Haribol! We then have also Vrindarika Ramya Dasi, who's seated there behind. She's working on the Kids Sankirtan team, and you'll see some statistics about how the Kids Sankirtan are doing here at the Manor congregation. All the children, a lot of the children are coming out on Sankirtan. They chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and at least twice a month they go out on book distribution, at least 10 to 15 children every month. And then we have a huge piece of our congregation who actually does a lot of wonders for us, and we just sit and watch what's happening, which is Bhakti Vriksha team. So we have from Bhakti Vriksha team, we have Yogeshwar Prabhu, who's representing the East London Yatra today. Where is Yogeshwar Prabhu? Can we please stand Yogeshwar Prabhu? And then we have Raksha Mataji, who's representing the Northwest London Bhakti Vriksha team. Raksha Mataji, could you please get up? And we are missing one more. Yes, Guru Shakti Mataji. So Guru Shakti Mataji is our actually the backbone of our Sankirtan team. She's helping across all projects. She's working on a social media platform to help with Rishi Prabhu in taking our Sankirtan to the next level with the help of social media. She's a leader for our monthly Sankirtan festival, and I'll invite her later on to share some reflections and realization. So a great support. So let's hear from Guru Shakti Mataji. So now I'll hand over to Keshav Gokulanand Prabhu, and behind all of us, I've already introduced, there's one man which my heart really goes out, it's Satapa Prabhu. He's a real legend.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Divyanam Prabhu. I'd like to show my high appreciation to Divyanam Prabhu and Vrindarika Ramya Mataji. And Hare Krishna. And basically, a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago, is when, under their leadership and guidance, and obviously mentored by the Guru Maharaj and Sutaba Prabhu, obviously, they decided to develop the congregational side of Sankirtan, and hence we've got all these different areas. And Vishwambara Prabhu, of course, as well, under everyone's guidance, all the leaders' guidance, is what we've come up to this state. Thank you. So I'll just start with Kids Sangha, and the goals they've decided to go for is to double the number of families that are going out every week, every month, from 5 to 10 families, and doing 2,200 books per year. All these goals are excluding the marathon, which obviously during the marathon time the numbers increase exponentially. So that's for Kids Sangha. MSF, on average, you've got 25 to about 35 devotees that go out every month. So the goal is to increase that to 50 devotees going out and 4,000 books per year. Gomatsya, under the leadership of Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, we've got on average about 4 to 5 dedicated devotees who help with the book tables, with other projects going on in Gomatsya. And the goal is to increase that to 8 devotees. And the yearly goals for the sets are 250 Srimad Bhagavatam sets and 50 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. Supermarket, again under the guidance of Harikirtan Prabhu, increased to 8 devotees. Recently they've been holding about 3 or 4 sessions a month at supermarkets, and their yearly book target is 6,000 books. And then we have the traveling Sankirtan under the guidance of Sutapa Prabhu, and their goals are to have 6 to 8 dedicated devotees and 20,000 books per year. Door to door, we've got on average 5 families going out every month. So we'd like to increase that to 10, and the book target to be 2,500 books a year. Thank you. And I'm just going to put up this sheet for the efforts goal. Thank you. So for the efforts, these are a couple of things we've come up with. One of them was developing a Sankirtan app. Again, Sutapa Prabhu is very keen to get that kind of off the ground, and so we're working towards that again with guidance from the US team who've already working on the app. The other thing was Summer Marathon, the introduction of Summer Marathon, again, Vishwamba Prabhu, Sutapa Prabhu, everyone else, which is what you're starting from this year. So introducing Summer Marathons every month. Then to kind of pitch the importance of Sankirtan in mentee groups, and to encourage all of them to go out as part of their sadhana chart, as part of their kind of development. We've got carry book bags always. As we've heard, don't leave the house without books already, so that's one of the ideas. Individuals, Sangha groups, again, to develop them more, kind of encourage on Sankirtan. Newcomers tours. So we've got tours at the temple. Whoever's new at the temple, we do a tour every Sunday, every Saturday. So to introduce Sankirtan as part of that tour as well. We've got Harinams weekly, again, that kind of forms in the Sangha groups. Contact collection, again, we've heard about contacts and the importance of contacts and how to develop any newcomer further. So again, a goal of at least each person or each group collecting 10 contacts per month. You've got crematoriums, funeral ceremonies where we can have book tables, again, introduce Sankirtan there. Prayer functions, you've got other kind of organizations, Hindu or otherwise other religious organizations, again, doing presentations on Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Chaitamrita and other books. So again, that's an idea we need to develop. Care homes, doctors' receptions, surgeries, and then developing more in terms of just encouraging everyone from the whole congregation to join at least one of these areas. So again, Divyanand Prabhu introduced all the leaders in each area. So anyone here who's interested to join, please do go and speak to the individual leaders at the end of this seminar. Thank you very much.
This is an example of how far a little organization can take you. See his charts. You could live off these charts for the next 5 years. If all you did was make these visible, turn it into T-shirts and put it everywhere, it would give everyone guidance over the next 5 years. Just what you did in that short amount of time we had, 25 minutes or something like that. This is so well done, so many good ideas. You can develop a huge party following this process. Thank you very much for doing what you're doing. Hare Krishna.
We just have the Sacred Street Party. We also have booth. That's there. It was covered already.
No. Street Party. Come on. There it is.
So Sacred Street Party is another project which is Rishi Prabhu is having for us. He couldn't be here today, so he sent his apologies, but his team is always present. Somebody's always there to represent them. Look at the neatness of this chart, and the chart beats everybody. Haribo!
You can just put this if you have a pocket.
Hold that for a second.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Thank you, Divyanam Prabhu. We're actually part of the manor as well, going on a weekly basis to Sacred Street Sankirtan. So I have a disclaimer to make before, I actually start this presentation. I myself haven't been on Sacred Street Party for at least 2 years. So I go on marathons, I do book distribution, but personally I haven't managed the time or got the time to go out on a weekly basis. But on behalf of Rishi Prabhu, the rest of the team that's here, I'd like to present some of the ideas, and I'd been doing that for such a long time before I stopped going for some time. So we actually go out once a month on a Saturday for 4 hours, and we go to different towns and cities every week as well. And it's really kind of, before there used to be local towns around the manor, but they've really kind of reached out to different wider areas and places. And we've got amazing devotees who kind of like, we always have our book table with a book stand, varieties of book as well. And we have devotees who drive up there to different towns and places, set up everything nicely. We always have some prasad, like cookies, cakes, biscuits, whatever there is for devotees to give out to everyone as well. So generally on a week-to-week basis, we thought we'll kind of like break it down. So we've got like our current situation as to like how many devotees or what we're currently doing. And these are like, it was just nice to follow up to our future goals for at least this year to the next year. So one thing with Sacred Street Party is all the Pandav Sena, all the youth basically from the manor who come for this weekly Sankirtan. They're super enthusiastic, so keen, so sincere, and actually do make the time and effort to come. The really nice thing I have to say is during the winter marathon, we generally get like they're out there literally every day for at least 4 to 6 hours, different towns and villages. And that's when we get the most number of devotees coming out on books. In fact, last year, 2018, Winter Marathon, they were the top 3 actually from the entire UK. So they did amazing, like really, which is wonderful. So far we have like about 5 to 10 book distributors per week that go out. From that group as well, we have about 3 to 5 devotees who do kirtan. So we have a sit-down kirtan mat next to the book table as well. And that's one of the main ways that they attract a lot of passers-by shoppers to come along and, pick up books as well, drop in coins into their little donation box, pick up sweets and things like that. On an average, on a week basis, they do about 40 books. Most of them are medium books, but yeah, there are some which are big books as well. And then once a month, we also have sanghas which take place in devotees' homes. So our future goals or aspirations for the next year would be actually to look at increasing the number of distributors that go out, same with number of kirtaniers. And I think a lot of it is actually because a lot of like Pandav Sena, if you think about it, everyone knows the youth group, the Pandav Sena group, and it's really, really growing. The whole thing about the Pandav Sena is actually we just need to push them, get them out. A lot of them do not feel comfortable to go out Sankirtan because Vishwambara Prabhu, just to say this, but they haven't got that training yet. So I think it'd be really nice to kind of like, just get regular training with the youth, actually with the devotees, because once they get that confidence, I'm sure there'll be amazing book distributors, because already like just by the number like 5 to 10, if you can see on an average weekly basis, if we can do 40 books, imagine if we had 10 to 15 devotees going out on a weekly, for 4 to 6 hours, how much they could really increase in terms of that. So yeah, the weekly target would be, of course, to increase to up to 60 to 70 books, and then the sanghas as well they'll keep going on with the sanghas. And I think the sanghas would change kind of right now. They just kind of like get together and, of course, like sharing reflections, like how we normally do with the monthly Sankirtan festival, and just kind of sharing what we've learned and kind of exchanging ideas and things as well. But it'd be nice kind of changing them to more of a training part of a training session, inspiring the younger generation, young devotees as well to go out more often. And having like Vaisesika Prabhu has really kindly agreed that if we do need to have a call out, a Zoom call with him, once a month, whatever, he's happy to do that. So we'll definitely take that on board, which is amazing. Thank you so much for that. How to achieve our aspirations. So first of all, some of them would be to start training newer, younger devotees on how to book distribute. I remember about 10, 11 years ago, I had no clue. I used to go out on the streets, just stand behind a book table and just wait for devotees to come and people to come and approach me. And then I would shyly be like, here, just take it. I had no idea. But it was Vishwambara Prabhu who trained me to do books and since then, it's just been an amazing service and so grateful. So I really do think that's something that's really kind of needed. So covering through Skype calls, have senior devotees come, having their association for sanghas and everything as well. And at the moment, it could be the pressure that, there's the Lakshmi collection of Lakshmi, not knowing how to ask for donations and things like that. So maybe we could subsidize the books, the costings for the books as well. So that way, they don't feel like they have to get too much Lakshmi to be collected. They feel comfortable to whatever they want to. Something that I just learned today as well, Rishi Prabhu's dream is to get a traveling, Radha Damodar bus, to get a van like that as well. So something that they're really looking into getting for the future. So getting a van basically that can have book table. We can even kind of go out on car parks and things like that. Literally just open up the doors and have book distribution taking place from anywhere. Literally like a traveling Sankirtan party. So change the sacred street to traveling Sankirtan party. I hope it happens. Staying in touch. We normally of course, as always, when you go out on the streets, actually you meet such wonderful devotees and everything. And the one good thing about Sacred Street Parties, they have amazing stories which they post on the WhatsApp group all the time, regularly, which really inspires other devotees as well, actually. So it's really nice to we get the context and everything as well. But I think the problem right now is we're just getting the contact numbers and then one or two, like Rishi Prabhu, Veera, they're keeping in touch with them. But I think nice to give out contact cards, possibly having follow-up sanghas or sessions for these new people as well, within those areas, and invite them to come for those sessions and things like that. So something we can start looking into it. Appreciation and encouragement. Yeah, and I guess really nice appreciating the efforts of the new distributors on Sankirtan to help cultivate their Krishna consciousness as well, and to use their individual talents in different ways to engage in the service. I could be either Kirtan, through Sankirtan, food, prasadam distribution, which we already have all of that going in place as well, but I guess it's just increasing as to what we're already doing. And so far from this morning session, we've just learned so much from what the other different yatras are wanting to be doing as well. So we've taken some ideas and implement into what Sacred Street Party can do as well. Thank you. Yeah, covered everything.
First of all, is it on? Hare Krishna. First of all, you're an excellent presenter. Thank you very much for that. I really like the Sacred Street Party. It's something that's coming from an impetus that's grown naturally. It's something that these young devotees have decided to do of their own accord, and it has great power and good example for everybody. And as the Sacred Street Party matures, it will emerge as one of the premier parties. It already is, but as you hone all your skills and come together and put all these ideas together, it will be a beacon for people all over the world how to do it. It can be formalized and exported to devotee communities all over the world. I like that you mentioned in the beginning about your dedication to prasadam distribution. That is one of the most important parts of our movement, and actually there's absolutely no reason whatsoever not to load up with prasadam every time you walk out the door. It's the easiest thing to do is to give out prasadam when you go to the bank and the store, and just wherever you go where you see an opening, put prasadam in. In 1972, in Cleveland, Ohio, Bhatu Gopal Prabhu, as the temple president, saw the Salvation Army distributing and making great profit from candy canes. So he went out and got some candy canes, offered them to Krishna, and started distributing, but there was a huge uproar. There used to be uproars back in the old days all the time. And devotees complain, that's not prasadam, you're buying it from the store. And then they brought it to Prabhupada. And the letter is there. Prabhupada wrote back, he said, what is the harm? He said, in India all the time we buy simple sugar candies from the shop, we offer the deity and we distribute it as Mahaprasadam. So he said, I give you permission to offer lollipops, candy canes, and then you can offer it right to the deities and you can distribute to the public. So at the very least, and if, by the way, I haven't met one living entity, and I'm not even talking about humans, it includes monkeys also, that doesn't like a lollipop. As soon as you pull out a lollipop, people just go like, okay, I guess life's not so bad after all. And you know, having been given permission for lollipops, you know, you can offer them and you can distribute them wherever you go. It makes life better to distribute prasad. And so, nice dedication you brought up that the Sacred Street Party brings all kinds of muffins, cakes, and whatever else and distributes to the people. It's really good. And the other part was about follow-up sanghas. Great idea. Because following up is vital for expanding our movement. The front end, the first touch is important, but even more important is the second part, where we create a facility for people to come in and be able to take on the culture and the practice, start a home practice. And when you do it as a sangha together, it feels joyful and you get a lot of support. Like you can even have a calling party where there's several devotees together calling everybody on the list. Just like when you go on Sankirtan together, it has a lot of effect. So really nicely done from the Sacred Street Party. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so thank you everybody. I also want to thank a few other devotees who are here from international parties. We have our Radhadesh party here, Yadurani Mataji and is it Dhameshwar Prabhu who's here? Are they here? Yadurani Mataji and Dhameshwar Prabhu. Can we hear from them? Haribol! So Yadurani Mataji is doing something. She's just started off her work of Sankirtan. She's been doing it, but she wants to organize it. So she requested if she can be part of the Manor Yatra and UK Yatra. So we'll connect her with us and then she'll start doing some similar things what we are doing here. Also the devotees from Ireland who are watching online, actually there is a temple president in Ireland temple and few other temples have requested to start monthly Sankirtan and other things. So you see how the fever is spreading over across the UK as well now, as Vaisesika Prabhu was saying earlier. So great opportunity. I just wanted to conclude because Vishwambhar Prabhu did remind me that it's very important that we write the goals when we go back, format them on a piece of paper, on a sheet. Please email them back to Vishwambhar Prabhu if you could do it by the end of the month, which will be great. We still have about, what date is it today? I'm a little lost. 23rd. So about a week for you to write down these goals and share it with him. And believe it or not, we will have another retreat next year at around the same time because the dates of Vaisesika Prabhu for his BBT meetings in Italy is confirmed. So I'm already saying it. I haven't asked him, so I'm sure he would love to come and be with us again next year. Is that right, Maharaj? So, if you all don't mind, I have one request, one goal, if I could share with all of you. Is that okay? Can I do that? Yeah, okay. Just two devotees? Okay, great. So just one request and a goal for all of us. So next year when we have our National Sankirtan retreat, just bring one more friend with you who's new to Sankirtan. Does that sound like a good goal? We can achieve it? Okay, great. So just one more devotee friend who's new to Krishna consciousness, practicing at your center, bring them here to be part of this national retreat so that they can take the inspiration back and do some damage, as Prabhu says, to the material world. So now we will hear from Vaisesika Prabhu and have some practical demonstration of how to distribute Srila Prabhupada books. I'll hand it over to him.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare
Marman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, hey, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman, Natari Armarman.